Every time you open Safari, iPhone could be broadcasting your exact location, leaking your private data, and handing over camera and microphone access to any website that you visit. Big tech companies rely on these features being turned on so they can market to you better and sell more stuff. But right now, I'm going to show you the exact Safari settings you need to turn off to lock down your privacy. This is pretty urgent, so let's hop right in. To get to the Safari settings, we have to go to Settings, and then scroll all the way down until you see Apps. Tap on that, and then tap on S on the right-hand side, or scroll down to the S section, and then tap on Safari. All the settings that we can turn on and off for Safari exist in this area right here. We're going to go back and forth up and down this list based on which ones are most urgent. So let's scroll down a little bit. For the first one I want to turn off, or turn on, I should say. The first one we want to have on is prevent cross-site tracking. What this does, if this is turned off and cross-site tracking is allowed, it means if you visit a website like Walmart, for example, and you order some shoes, and then you go to Facebook, Walmart can then share that data. They can share the fact that you bought shoes on their site or looked at comic books or the latest PlayStation or whatever, and they can share that info with Facebook, who can then market to you better because now they know you're interested in those things, and that improves the marketing for the advertisers on Facebook. But that could potentially be a lot of private data that you don't really want to have shared. So that's the first one I would always have on. The next one is hide IP address. We're going to tap on this one, and we can have this off so our IP address is always shown, or we can hide it from trackers. I always have hide it from trackers turned on. IP address can give away a lot of information about you, including your exact location. So it's not something you want to be broadcasting. So it doesn't have the ability to turn it off completely, because I think ISPs have to be able to track where you are in case you're doing illegal stuff, but we can hide it from trackers. And the trackers, those are the things that are gathering data for advertising and things like that. The next option here that I have turned on is require Face ID to unlock private browsing. What this means is if you have Safari open, we are able to tap on that widget down there and create a new private tab. So then we can go to a website over here. Let's do this one. And this is a private tab. So if we look at our tabs, we swipe, I don't have a tab in the other one. Let's open I do. Okay, at the bottom it shows private, and we have 3 other tabs here. So to open the private, we have to use our Face ID. If we don't use our Face ID, you can't open the private tab. This isn't really a website data security thing, but it's super handy, especially for us with 3 kids. If my wife and I are planning gifts or something, we can throw it into a private tab, have it locked behind Face ID so our kids can't see what gifts we're getting them before we actually get them the gifts. So we find that super handy. So I always have that one turned on. The next one for your data protection, though, and your privacy is a fraudulent website warning can detect signs that the website is fake and might be trying to deposit malware on your phone or download viruses on your phone. So it'll give you a warning for that. The next one I have turned on is not secure connection warning. A secure connection is when at the beginning of a URL, let's go to any website really. Let's go to this one, threads.com. If we tap into the address bar, we see up here it says HTTPS. The S means that this website is secure. Years and years ago, Google made it so that if you have that S there, it helps the Google search rankings. And so a lot of websites, pretty much most websites adopted that. So almost all websites you go to will have that HTTPS, but some don't. So this will warn you when that's not turned on. And if that's not turned on, you definitely do not want to buy anything from that website. Because if you do, your credit card information, for example, is transmitted unencrypted to that website's owner, and then they can then process your payment. And then they send you your goods. So it's not necessarily that that website is doing something bad with your info. The problem is your credit card info could easily be intercepted by third-party actors. And so this warning is really good to have on. Next, if we scroll down a little bit, we have camera, microphone, and location. These allow you to define whether you allow websites access to these things. So if we tap into them, I have mine set to ask for camera. You can also set it to deny, so they're never allowed to access your camera. I would never have this on allow, because then they can just access your camera and turn it on whenever they feel like it, without even asking you. So never have it on allow. I have it on ask because if you're using websites like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, any website where you upload images, you want to be able to upload images. Otherwise, the website doesn't really work how you want it to. So that's why I have mine on ask, because I can just say no if I don't want the website to have access to those things. And the same settings apply for microphone. You never want to allow just microphone access whenever a website wants. That's weird. So I always have this set to ask. And then same for location. Because some websites, like say if I go to Google Maps or Apple Maps, they might want to know my location to give me better directions. So I have it set to ask so they can ask me. Never have it set to allow. At least that's my recommendation. You can do it if you want, but I recommend that you don't. Let's scroll up a little bit. Remember, we're going in order of what's most urgent. So if you just do the settings we've done now, and that's all you set up, you're pretty good. These settings we're going to talk about from here on, they're important, but they're not necessarily mission critical to your privacy, but you still do want to know what's going on with them. Next one I want to point out is search engine suggestions. When you go to Google search, you start typing, they give you suggestions because they can see what you're typing. Your phone is transmitting that information to Google as you're typing so they can suggest things. Maybe you like that. I like it. I find it pretty helpful, so I have that turned on. But if you don't want your typed out queries to be sent to Google while you're typing, turn this off. And then once you hit search, obviously your search will be sent to Google so they know what to look up for you. But in the meantime, while you're typing, they don't know what you're doing. And Safari has a same setting where you start to type in searches in the Safari address bar and it'll pre-populate what it thinks you're going to want based on what you've already written. And you can turn that off as well. I keep both of mine on because I don't find that to be a big deal, but some people do. Next is Siri up here. If you have a newer iPhone, it's going to say Siri and Apple Intelligence. If you tap into here, the checkboxes are pretty much the exact same if you have a new phone or old phone. And this top one here is the one that's most important. So if you have this on, for me, Siri is learning about what I'm doing with Safari. It's learning which websites I'm visiting, learning what I'm doing there, learning how much time I spend there, and all this type of information to theoretically help Siri work better for me. And Apple Intelligence, if you have that on your new phone, same thing. It learns about what you're doing with Safari. If you turn this off, it no longer learns. And so it's much more private for you, especially because Siri and Apple Intelligence send their data back to Apple. Siri doesn't do any processing on your phone, or very little. It does it at Apple headquarters. And so that data now stays with you if you have this turned off. So choose which option, which way you want to do that. And the next area we want to go is the very bottom, and that is advanced. And then website data. Here, it shows you all the data that websites have downloaded to your phone recently. It shows we have 518 megabytes of data, which is quite a bit. Google is always my number one. And there's YouTube, FIFA, and ads. I don't know what CTO is. There's Facebook.net, not .com, probably related to ads. So there's a lot of information downloaded to your phone whenever you visit a website. And it's not good or bad. It's just how the internet works. Because if you had to download this information every single time you visit a site, those sites would be slow. So what they do is they download data to your phone or to your computer so that when you visit them again, the website's faster, which makes everybody happier. Because we all prefer fast websites, not slow ones. So you can delete these if you want. You can go to Edit and then delete them individually. You can also delete them in bulk. I'm going to show you how in just a minute. But first, we're going to go back out of here and we're going to check out block all cookies. If this is turned on, all cookies are blocked. Cookies are required by lots of websites to function. Most predominantly websites that require a login. So Facebook, Google, your banking websites, investing websites, any websites where you have to log in, they put a cookie on your phone, and the presence of that cookie on your phone tells that website that you've logged in the recent past. And then when you go to that website again, it just logs you into your dashboard. It doesn't make you enter your username and password again, which can be quite a pain if you visit these sites a lot. So cookies or block all cookies, I usually have that turned off, But if you want that turned on, it's a little more private. But if you have it turned off, keep in mind you might have to log in a ton of times depending which websites you use. And cookies also expire. So if you log into Facebook today, I don't know how long it is exactly, but maybe 2 weeks from now, you'll be asked to log in again because your cookies expired. That's a kind of a safety feature in case your phone gets stolen or something. And right above that, we have advanced tracking and fingerprint protection. This I currently have turned on for private browsing only. I'm going to switch that to all browsing so that all browsing has advanced tracking and fingerprint protection, which just helps you lock down your data even more. I would not recommend you have this turned off. But private browsing is okay and all browsing is even better. And anytime you turn one of these on and you find Safari is not working how you want it to, maybe turn them off again and try it and see how that setting affects things. And then the last thing we want to do is a regular housekeeping thing. All the settings we've done so far, you really just set one time and you don't have to look at them ever again. This next one is housekeeping that you want to do on a regular basis. And that is under the history and website data. We want to clear history and website data. This is what I showed you earlier, that list of websites that had data on our phone, where you can delete them one by one. Here's where we can delete them in bulk. We can clear just the last hour of website data, today and yesterday, all history. We can clear all profiles or choose personal or home, and we can close all tabs in Safari if we toggle this on. So if I tap this and we clear history, now if we go back to advanced and website data, there's going to be nothing here. If you recall, that was like 518 megabytes, I think, of space taken up on our phone. That's now free space again, which is fantastic. And by closing those tabs, we now have no tabs under private or under the regular because we closed them all using that setting. And there are a few other settings inside of here that aren't necessarily related to privacy, but they can be related to how you use Safari and just your personal preferences of using it. So I recommend you work through all the stuff we did in this video, but also go back and check out what else there is available in Safari to personalize your experience. If you want to make sure your phone is scam-proof, I created this PDF document here, which helps you step-by-step scam-proofing your phone, just like we did your privacy protection in Safari. This is going to help prevent scams, which is super important. So if you are on a TV, scan this QR code. You'll be taken to a website where you can get this for free. Or if you prefer, you can click the link in the description down below. You get this for free as well. And this is going to help you scam-proof your phone. And if you want even more storage space, we gained a little bit from this video here, but getting even more is great to have. More space, the better. And this video helps you find hidden trash cans on your phone and empty them so you gain more space on your phone. So make sure you check out that video next. If you got value from the video you just watched, like and subscribe to let me know, and I'll see you on this one.